Actually, I was gonna tell you something, dude. Because I started this other TikTok account so I could post all of these videos, whatever, these generated videos that I've been working on. Um, I don't realize something about TikTok, bro.
What is it?
TikTok is just the multiplayer loading lobby for Xbox 360. Like all of the kids that are sociopaths are on TikTok just hating on everybody. Just
Oh,
fucking hating on everybody. Like everything. And it's just
oh
like the
yeah.
Xbox 360 loading lobby where everybody would like say like but like TikTok's a little more moderated, like it's a little more controlled. There's not so much like filth being thrown around, but people like do it subtly just so that they can't get banned. And this
Yeah,
fat
TikTok's
kid.
just it's just full of hate.
Oh yeah. It's a
I don't
fucking
can't remember the last time someone commented something positive on any video I posted on TikTok.
no, dude. It's just an Xbox 360 multiplayer loading lobby. That's all it is. People are so negative. Which don't get me wrong, like I enjoy it. And I know that's wrong. Actually, that's not wrong. I enjoy the negativity. Sorry, I have to like continually readjust you, but I don't know. I enjoy people talking shit. Like it just makes me laugh, and I like the choral. I enjoy it. I've learned to enjoy it just because I mean we grew up in the era of the Xbox 360 loading lobby, so it's just like just its
Well,
happiness, you
it's
know.
not just the 360. You gotta understand. I was in a Call of Duty lobby yesterday.
Oh yeah,
It's
was it pretty brutal?
nothing's changed. Yeah.
Nothing's changed. It's all the same shit. Fuck. Yeah. Some kid, I posted like one video, like just one, and this kid like just shit on it. And like I hadn't posted any other videos to this page yet. I just posted one. This kid was like shitting on it, and I was like, "All right, little motherfucker." And it's funny because like I went to his profile, and this kid hadn't posted a single video. He just had his like picture, and it was like some fat like middle schooler. Like you could obviously tell like it was just some like fat middle school kid from the south, and I was like, "Buddy, what the fuck?" Like, and that's
He
all it
knows
is,
more than you.
huh? He
They always
definitely
know more than
does.
you.
He definitely, dude, and it's funny the name he called me. I was like, what? He called me, what did he say? He said pipsqueak? And I was like, I haven't heard that word since I was like elementary school. And I thought that was so funny. And I was like, all right, buddy, next one's for you. And so like the next video
I
I
like that. I
posted,
think it fits you.
me? It's like, bro,
Pipsqueak. Uh,
what's that's got like, what's the definition of that word? I'm curious. Because that's like a small
it's a
animal, is
made-up
it
word.
not?
It's an actual word.
Uh-huh. Yes, small or young. Bro, I'm 6'2", and I'm like 20, 27. Am I 27? Or am I 26?
I believe
I'm
you're 27.
27. I always forget. It's getting fucking hot in
You're still
here.
a pipsqueak in the scheme of things.
Yeah, I'm still just a little nugget. Still just... Speaking of being a little nugget, give me like 10 seconds to turn on my AC because it's fucking hot in here.
Okay, pipsqueak.
No, so you know how I've been like kind of working out at home, but not really that much. I've just been like stretching. So yesterday I felt guilty about it, so I went to the gym to do 1,000 reps to like catch up. I don't know why I do this shit to myself. I'm just like, yeah,
Catch
like
up.
that's like my mentality at it is like, yeah, I'm gonna catch up. Like,
It's like sleep.
yeah,
It's like, oh, I've been low on sleep, so I'm just gonna sleep like 12 hours today. It doesn't work necessarily
yeah.
like that, but
No, I went to the gym, did my 1,000 reps, and like I just separated into different body parts. So I'll do like calves, squats, leg extensions, and then I went into chest, delts, bis, tris. and abs, and I just like go through the list or whatever. Um, it's crazy every time you get like every time you aim for 1,000 reps. It's crazy the amount of resistance that comes in around like 400, 500. And I legit, and I'm like, it's actually embarrassing to say this, like, I legit started tearing up. Like, I started crying in the gym. I was like, holy shit, like, I'm not gonna make it. And then there was this quote that hit me. Have you read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius?
No.
Um, there's this quote in that book, and it goes, "It is a shame when the soul is first to give way in this life and the body does not give way." Which is like, it's a shame when you give up before your body could actually give up. Like, you still got reps in you. And I almost gave up at like 400, 500. And I was like sitting there and I was like, fuck, this is hard. Like, this shit hurts. And I like just sat there and thought about this. And I was like, it would be a shame for me to give up, like spirit wise, before my body could actually give out. Like, yeah, I was in pain and like, yeah, I was suffering, but like, realistically, I can keep going. It's just like, you feel like giving up. And I was like, fuck, Tanner, you can't give up. And so, and it's crazy when you get to that like 800 and you're just like looking at that finish line. It took me 3 hours. It was brutal as hell, but you get to that 800 and you like feel that victory, but you learn something every single time you aim for 1,000 and you hit it. You always learn something about life that's like so beyond us. It's just like, fuck, why didn't I know this before? But, and now that quote's just been playing on repeat. Essentially, it's just like, it's a shame when your spirit, when you lose heart, like before your body gives up, before your body could actually like spend its like strength.
Yeah, our mind is more powerful than. I mean, our body is more powerful than we think, and definitely our mind gives out first most of the time. I like to think of the stories of all those people that do these crazy things, like lift the car off of people and save these people, and things that we would think are physically impossible, but when they needed to do it, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you have any experience in working out, just the difference of, I mean, going to failure
Mm-hmm.
is, if you're in it, if your mind is in it and you're putting all your effort into it, you can achieve so much more reps and such. But if you're just kind of in it and you're just doing the reps, then it's just, you're not going to be able to do much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's mind over body for sure when it comes to
Well, see,
physical
and that's the thing,
capabilities.
is like, when I'm actually in my body and feeling it, I can do more. But if I'm distracted and I'm looking around the gym and I'm looking at other people and I'm like paying attention to what other people are doing, my reps are half-assed and they're like not all the way there. And then like I'm like giving up early. Whereas like if I like center myself and think about the work and like think about the contractions, I can do so much more work. Like if I am present in my body in the work that I'm performing. And I don't know, dude, like, yeah, 500, I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die. There, I remember I'd gotten to chest at that point, and I was doing incline just dumbbell press. And I remember having that same thought that I had when we were doing the 1,000 push-ups. It was like, I'm gonna tear something, like, I'm gonna injure myself. And I was like, I should stop. Like, I'm gonna get hurt. And I was like, Tanner, you're being a bitch. Like, you're gonna be fine. And sure as shit, I was fine. Like, I was fine. But, like, that resistance hit me so fucking hard. It was like, just stop, just go home. Like, it doesn't matter, nobody knows. And I didn't, like, post it anywhere. I didn't tell anybody that I was, like, except for, like, my girl, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym and do 1,000 reps. She was like, oh, finally you're going back to the gym, like, you piece of shit. Like, she's a great motivation, you know. But that's like, I didn't post it anywhere, I didn't tell anybody. And so like when I was at the gym doing like my 1,000, I was like, yeah, nobody's gonna care, nobody's gonna know. But in my head, I was like, I'm gonna know if I give up. and that's gonna kill me. Like, I came here to do something, and if I don't do that thing, I'm not gonna feel good about it. Like, I made an agreement. So it felt good, but today I feel like shit, man. I don't have any coffee. Like, I'm fucking exhausted. But it was worth it. And I definitely can't stop thinking about that Marcus Aurelius quote. And it's sad because most people will lose heart before their body would actually ever give out. Now, you look at Goggins, man. That motherfucker was like 250 pounds. He was overweight as hell. And like, he got up one day and decided he was gonna go run 100 miles. And he went and ran 100 miles. And like, just because he decided to. That's fucking crazy. That's nuts. Like, the body can just get up at 250 pounds, like overweight, piece of shit, and decide to go run 100 miles, and it can just do it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna run 100 miles, but
I know you want to. I think the body's capable of so much. I mean, I just started reading 4 Agreements again, so it's kind of funny that you're talking about making these agreements to yourself. But yeah, I mean, once you get in your head, I want to do this, and you don't do it, I feel like it's always just a downward spiral of depression and everything. At least for me, is I want to do this, and in my head I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then I don't do it, and it sucks. It always sucks every time. But if you do it, I mean, you're capable of so many things, or even make steps towards it. I mean, we all set goals that are way out of our reach, but to make progress is the whole point. So I don't know. It's kind of weird thinking about the resistance. It's like, where does it come from? It's like, why is our brain like, oh, you can't do it, just stop, just give up halfway, you're fine, you did good. I don't know why when it comes to accomplishing great tasks or doing something like physically or any other aspect, I don't know, it's kind of, I've been trying to think as you've been talking, it's like, I don't know where does that come from? I mean, unless you put some kind of religious or spiritual aspect, or I don't know. It's just like, why would our body do that? Speaking solely physically and scientifically, I don't know why our body would do that.
Here's an idea. It just came to me. What if it's not us? Like, maybe it might be. Maybe it's just like a lifetime's worth of like shitty programming from like ourselves. You know, we say shit to ourselves and then we say that shit on repeat. And then like when we mess things up, we're like, yeah, I knew I was gonna mess that up or whatever. But like, because I mean, I was talking about this with a buddy just last night, that like, because like the muse comes externally, comes from some other source. And like, self-annihilation or self-sabotage, yes, can be like taught and learned, and is just like an addiction. But I feel like there's this crazy like resistance that comes in when you like hit that 400 or 500 reps. There's something that comes in, and it's like, please stop, and it just like puts a gun in your mouth, and it's like, you're gonna fail, like you're gonna rip, you're gonna break, and it hurts. Like, it hurts when you hear it. It's like, ow, fuck, like, and you start to lose heart. Like, it feels like everything's just being drained out of you. If you surrender to it, it'll fucking take you. It'll take you down.
I'm trying to think. You said you think it might be an external thing that tries to bring you back? Because I'm thinking it definitely can be external. You know, in the 4 Agreements, I just read today that, you hear the story about the mother and the daughter, and the mother comes home after an extremely hard day of work, and the daughter's singing at the top of her lungs, has a great voice, and the mother says, shut up, you have a horrible voice. The daughter, throughout her whole life, she she stops singing, and she actually ends up not even talking and being really reserved, and it's just a downward spiral. So it definitely can be an external thing that brings you down. But I mean, when you're in the gym, you're even secluded, maybe with earbuds or headphones, and it's just you and those reps. It's not external. It's coming to you. It's like, give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm even trying to broaden the idea, thinking about recently, and personally for me, I've been really having a lot of resistance when it comes to making music. And either I listen to it and I'm like, this is just not working, or maybe even someone says something like, that doesn't sound that great, and then that's internal and external.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of where does the resistance come from when it gets hard?
I don't know.
I do like the idea of resistance, though. It makes things valuable. If there was no resistance, everyone would be doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's kind of
It's just
interesting.
kind of crazy. It's like we're met with resistance on everything that we want to accomplish. Everything we want to really do to improve our lives, we will be met with resistance. And like, especially when starting fresh on anything, like starting new anywhere, even like reading. I'm trying to get, somebody really close to me right now to start reading. And I'm working really hard. And they're just like, oh, dude, I'm just like, I don't really spend any time reading. It's so hard. And I'm like, dude, I know. Trust me. Me and Adam both went through this, dude. We were both like, I'll read a book. Like, and finally, like, there's just one book that you read that, like, cracks you, that you're like, oh, shit, okay, like, this is good. This is good.
Sure.
And it's hard. Like, it's, because you're met with that resistance. Now it's just, like, habit. Like, we would just prefer to read. And I know, like, a lot of times we're just, like, and I know that we do make it really accessible. Like, I literally place books all around me. There's 2 books on the right side of my workstation, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius on the left side of my, like, creative station. And then, like, right as I enter my room, directly to my left is just, like, my bookshelf. And so it's just, like, all of my books. So, like, the first thing I can do, and that's part of just, like, Atomic Habits, is just, like, making the shit, like, super accessible, putting it everywhere. So it's, like, really the only thing you can do. But when you're starting something out, you do get met with a lot of resistance. But like, we've been lifting for over 13 years. And like, we will still hit an incredible amount of resistance sometimes. And like, you've been making music you've dabbled in music since 4th grade, dude. So it's like, you're still getting hit with resistance. That's crazy. That's so wild. Like, it should be, like, pretty much second nature, but, like, there are times when, like, resistance just beats you to the ground.
Yeah,
It's
I feel like I don't know. This is hitting really personal to me because I mean, recently it's been beating the crap out of me. Like, if resistance that I've been getting was like a physical person, I'd be on the ground in the fetal position, like purple and blue, because I don't know. I've been having a rough past few weeks, so I've been fighting it, and I think one of the keys is to stay consistent. While I'm working on building all sorts of things, I think when the resistance really starts to win is when you get out of the consistency. I mean, either you stop doing those reps, or you stop doing whatever it is that you're meeting resistance with, because consistency will pull through, I think, regardless. And if you're actively being consistent, you're going to be, if the resistance is hitting you in certain areas, you're going to try to do whatever it takes to weave around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. I'm still very much convinced on the muse, which is a problem. Because, like, let's see, she doesn't come out until, what time today? For me, at least, not till 3:45 is when the muse is up for me. 3:45 p.m. and she'll be out until 2 a.m. tonight. And so like my creative space in the morning is just like silent right now. Because like before it was like morning to like midday, and then because it moves forward, like the moon time when it comes up, it like moves forward, and now it's like coming up later. And so like in the morning, I'm like, that's why I did the workout yesterday, and I'm like, oh, Muse won't be out till later, I can create later. But then I did my 1,000 reps, and I was like, I don't want to create shit. Like, I want to eat food and go to bed. And so I didn't really create yesterday. I did like a little bit of like work, and then I was just like, no, like I'm spent, like I'm going to bed. And like even after accomplishing 1,000 reps, like and beating the shit out of resistance, like I should be able to like kick resistance ass in like my creative space. But it's like, oh dude, I just like made this connection in my brain just now.
Epiphany.
I had an epiphany. It's when you don't have a plan of what you're going to do. Because, like, if you have it set before you, like, I just need to do these 3 things in my creative space. Just these 3. You try to make it a huge fucking list, you're going to overwhelm yourself and you're not going to want to touch it. But if you have, like, because typically when I'm creating something, I have, like, a list on my whiteboard of, like, oh, just change pricings to these, like, create 3 like carousels, build the front page. I didn't do that last one. Push all the products to the store. Like I just have like 3 things that I have to do in my creative time, and it's not overwhelming. And then I'll do those 3 things, and then I get carried away after I do the 3 things to like continue creating because I'm like in it, right? And I think it's when we don't really have a plan. Like the times I wasn't really working out, I wasn't constructing my workouts. Like I wasn't like writing out what I was gonna do. And I was just like writing out what I was gonna create in the creative space, and I was like, oh, workout wise I could, do 20 push-ups and stretch, and curl that curl bar over there for like 50 repetitions and call it Gucci, I guess. But like this is probably insane. But every time I go to the gym, before I go to the gym, I write out what I'm going to do on my notes. So my like 1,000 reps, I have it to where it's like everything I'm going to do. And I set this up the day before. So like it was 11 p.m. the night before, and I was like, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym and do 1,000 reps. And this is exactly what I'm going to do. So I woke up and I was fucking pumped. I was like, let's go. Like I got my creatine, got my like oatmeal, and I was like, let's get to the gym. And I had a plan set before me. It's like, this is already the plan. This is already what I'm going to do. But see, I still kind of sort of had a plan for the creative space. But not really. I don't know.
I think a plan definitely helps. I mean, if you have no plan, it's just going to be impossible to. It's just like, people that's like, oh, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to go to the gym. And they show up at the gym, like, a lot of times they don't even make it.
Yeah, because they don't know what to do.
And yeah, they have no idea, no plan. So you got to have a plan. You got to have a goal, a direction, at least. Because, yeah, you're lost without it.
Who said it? They said, I can't remember who said it, but they said, it's better to have a flimsy and half-assed plan than no plan at all. Because like a flimsy and half-assed plan can be improved along the way. With no plan, you'll never start. I honestly have no clue who said that. But it's true. Like if you have some sort of plan, at least you'll try. And like trying is better than not doing anything. Because, no action is like the worst.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, to get action. Once you have the action, you have results. No matter how small the action, consistent action will always bring results.
I mean, even when we first started working out, like when we were 8th grade, 9th grade, it was like, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and then we would like work out. I remember that time when we were like going really hard in your gym. Like we were shirts off, just doing a ton of push-ups, sit-ups, like we were curling those little like, those like sand weights or whatever. And like your dad busted in the room. Just like busted in and was like, what are you guys doing? We were just like, And you were like, working out. I could tell you were like feeling it. And I was like, yeah. And I can't remember what your dad said, but after that, but he just like left.
Well, yeah, we were probably baiting her. It's not a new house that I lived in.
No.
So it's probably just like baiting around up there. They're like, what the heck's going on?
Probably thought we were like wrestling or some shit. Like putting holes
We
in
were
walls.
fighting it out.
Yeah.
Just fist fighting.
Oh man. I just remember the time that like we were trying to air out your room from all of the smoke we've created from lighting that like hand sanitizer on fire. And your dad came home and like my immediate instinct was just to lay on the roof. Even though he could still see me, I was just like laid there. And I was like, wait, no, this is a bad idea. And so like you opened the window. Because you closed the window on me. You like first closed it and then you like opened it. That was a good one.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god. And your dad, what's going on in here?
Oh, the stupid things we did. Oh my gosh.
See, I don't think it was stupid. I was thinking about that this morning. In my gratitude journal, I was writing about it this morning actually, and I was writing about the adventures we used to have. Like, though you look back and you're like, that's some criminal shit. Like, breaking into an abandoned hospital, like, technically, like, it would be considered criminal. But we were, like, underage. It didn't matter. Like, who gave a shit? And the place was, like, abandoned. But those are stories that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life that, like, supersede and, like, blow past the majority of the rest of my stories. Like, some of the stuff we got to do, like, whatever that underground place was under the historical district that we got to see, the abandoned hospital that we got to like explore in the middle of the night, just because, you know, Tanner had heard about it from somebody else and decided to just. That was so funny. We walked around that damn building for like 2 hours trying to find an opening, and then you were like, "This is dumb. I'm going to the car." You're like, "It's getting cold," and I was like, "I'm gonna keep looking." And then I got all hyped because I found the opening, and I'm like, we can get in. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we like went in. That place is creepy as hell though. Do you remember that shit?
The Westing room or whatever?
No, the abandoned hospital that we like got inside of.
Oh, the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the hospital that was the scariest place I've ever. I mean, I remember we heard and saw some stuff in there.
Dude, that place was scary as fuck. The Westing room was wild. That was a trip and a quarter.
I remember the hospital. I tried to go see the hospital again, but it was torn down.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was when you were on your mission. Somebody had burnt it down. So it's probably some crackhead starting a fire in there or something. But
probably.
So sad. So sad. They have a bunch of abandoned places here in Hawaii, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been very tempted to explore, but I haven't.
Hawaii could get kind of funky.
There's a lot of abandoned places here, like a lot. And it's cool because nature like takes over and it like completely starts tearing it apart. Like the trees will grow through it. So it's kind of like hidden. But it's
I was curious as we were talking to look at, because I remember I had a bar bread workout. I don't know if you remember. So I pulled up the picture just to check it out. Do you remember the challenges we would do? Like, I'm sure you remember. Isn't that where you tore your pec?
Or what?
You got the marks on your arm, didn't you, from one of the challenges?
Yeah, stretch marks when we decided to do the first time. Yeah, the first time we decided to do 1,000 push-ups. That's when I got my stretch marks.
Remember, yeah, we just what made us want to. Because I got one picture that I posted on my Instagram. It's the 750 challenge that we did, which was 125 pull-ups, 125 squats, 250 Hindu push-ups, and 250 bicycle crunches.
Dude, we did that shit at like 16 years old.
It's like who does that, man?
750. Because that was, I remember the the 1,000 push-ups. I didn't make it the first time we did it. I think that was 2012. And then 2013, I remember. Well, no, I think it was still 2012. I can't remember. It's when we did the 750. How old were we?
Here, I could check when I
So 11
posted
years
it.
ago.
But it doesn't. Okay, I was like 554 weeks ago. It doesn't give me a date. April 6th, 2013.
Whoa.
10 years ago. So we were. Well, that wasn't. I thought we were younger than that.
We were like 16 or 17. 17?
Yeah, 16, 17.
We were just turning 17. Damn. That's so wild. I remember, like, when I first started riding my bike to Oregon, I was 14. And that was with Jackson. See, and that's another thing I was thinking about is, like, I'm incredibly grateful for how early we started working out. And a lot of people didn't get that, especially, like, these generations, like, they got an iPad at like 5 years old, and like that's all they've known since their entire like waking life is like this iPad or like this screen. And like all we knew was like get on the bike and go and go find your friends. Or like go walk to your friend's house like 5 blocks away. And in a way I see us as like incredibly blessed. Because these stories are like I look at them and I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like nowadays I don't ride my bike. Obviously I can't ride my bike to another state. I'm in the middle of the fucking ocean. But like we would just get on our bikes and we would just go. And like yes, we did have like game stations, but they weren't as hyped as they are now. Like it isn't all the rage to like stream or be on a gaming station. And like I see us as like incredibly blessed because like we have stories that make up the movies, like going into an abandoned hospital, like breaking into an underground tunnel system of like a historical district, like riding our bikes to another state.
No, I was thinking of this a little bit ago, and like even the game consoles, because the culture isn't the same anymore. You know, if a bunch of guys want to get on a game together, they each have their own console, they each have their own TV. What it was back then, split screen.
Yeah, you
Way
don't get in the
more
same room.
social,
Oh, yeah.
way more even fun. You guys were physically together, you know, and just engaging in that manner was just way better. Like I see so many posts about it, even of people too, of just how they miss how it was because it's just not the same anymore. You know,
Yeah.
everyone being online. It's the physical aspect of being there together, even with the console. But I think we were definitely lucky because we caught the end of the good age. And what was interesting as you're saying that, you know, where the things we did or what, you know, the movies and stuff is, and you look at the generations that are growing up now, it's just, what do they do? They're in their house. They barely get outside. It's pretty depressing. One thing I thought interesting is, you know, looking at movies and stuff is why is everyone redoing movies? You know, you don't see much new movies.
They're just
And I was
recycling.
when I was streaming on my music, I was kind of talking about it this morning and thinking about it. Is creativity is dying. People don't have time to be to themselves anymore. Just like we went deep into last week. It's just people can't be creative anymore, and people aren't together anymore. People aren't exploring together. They aren't being outside and being social. It's all inside. And so when it comes to entertainment now, it's just like remakes and remakes because people don't have new stories. They aren't being creative. And so it's just, I don't know. It's kind of depressing. It makes me think like when I have kids and how I want to raise them is like, I don't want to be that dad. It's like, you can have a phone until you're 18. I feel like that's pretty bummed way to, but I feel like you got to find a way to raise kids nowadays to where they're not engulfed in this age of technology, but at the same time they're able to use it as a tool, get the good side of technology but not the bad side.
Yeah. It's funny you saying that. It makes me think because like when we were kids, the way that we broke your parents was like your parents wanted you inside. And that created resistance because then it made you want to go outside. They're like, "Oh, why can't you play in like the backyard?" And we're like, "No, we want to go to the front yard. Like, we want to go far." And they're like, "No, like you can play here, you can whatever." And like that telling us to like play in a specific space made us expand outward. It's like that sense of restriction. It's the same thing like when I went to jail, it was like you can't leave the state of Idaho. And then I was able to leave the state of Idaho and I was like, I'm moving to Hawaii. Like, let's get the fuck out of here. And I think that could be incorporated into raising children. Like, you have to spend an hour on the screen a day. Kids will be like, it's less fun when it's required. So they'll be like, oh, I got to spend my screen time, and now I can get out. Now I can get the fuck out of the house. Just like, go. And I think I would probably do that. Just be like, you have to spend an hour on the screen as a tactic to get them the fuck outside. Because it's the same thing like when we were like younger and we were swimming. We liked to swim until we became lifeguards and we were forced to swim a 500 like once a month. Then it was like, oh, we don't really want to fucking swim anymore. Like, we swim all the time now and it's required for our job. Like, now I don't really want to swim. But it's the same thing. Like, what if you're like, oh, kid, you have to spend an hour on the screen a day. And they're like, okay, spending an hour on the screen. And then they're just like, I want to get off the screen now. Just because they've been told to do the thing. Now like they want to break free from the thing and go do something opposite of that. Because like your parents were like, play in the house or play in the backyard. And we were like, let's not play in the backyard. Let's just go wherever else. And like we had the time where we'd play in the house, play in the backyard. And then we're like, all right, I'm bored. Let's get out of here. Like, forget what our parents said. Let's go ride our bikes to whoever's house.
I don't know. You'll have to let me know how that goes, because it's an interesting idea. Well, one thing I've always wondered is being into fitness. Obviously, I want my kids to be into fitness, but forcing them to work out is obviously going to have a negative output. So how it's always been on my mind how to get a positive output. And instantly, I went to always think of it as a reward. I mean, and if you're a positive role model to begin with, your kids are going to be like you. I've seen kids who admired their parents, and when they admired their parents, they really wanted to be like them, and thus they did a lot of things the parents did. And so if the parent was working out, they're like, I want to work out like dad. And thus they'd work out too. But it's always been on my mind. How do you influence children to do good things?
Well, you have to think about the reward center of the brain. So when it comes to like getting people to do anything at all, I have this written on my whiteboard: vocally reward effort and input, not intelligence or accuracy. Because intelligence, when you reward intelligence, like say a kid got an assignment right? And you're like, oh, you're so smart. And then say they got something wrong on the next assignment. They would beat themselves brutally for not being as intelligent as they were, and so their input will decrease. Whereas if you go, you persisted, you worked so hard, good job, they're like, I can repeat that action. Whereas intelligence, you can't always repeat. Or accuracy, you can't always repeat, but you can repeat effort. And so when you reward effort, you get more input. So like if you want to do something more, like you want to read more, every time you read, you go, you read this many pages, good job, Tanner. Like, I'm so proud of you. That's what I would do. It's like, I'd be like, I'm so proud of myself. I read 30 pages. Good job, Tanner. You read for such a long time. Like, you persisted. Because you can repeat that. Whereas like if you reward intelligence or accuracy, your input will decrease because you think you could be rewarded with less action or less effort. And so I think when it comes to children, I mean, it's the same thing with like training anybody. Dogs, people, all animals of the animal kingdom, you reward the effort or the input, not the intelligence or the accuracy. Because effort and input can be replicated easily, and the accuracy and the intelligence will come along the way because of that. So like somebody who's shooting an arrow at a target, they shoot 30 times, they're going to start hitting in the right spot. And you're like, you're doing so good. You're putting in so much work. And they're like, yeah, I am putting in a lot of work. This fucking hurts my arm. But they continue to do another 10 more because you told them. And it's the same thing with repetitions in the gym, where it's like, you can't start going to the gym and do only 10 repetitions and get the muscles you want. Like, you have to put in a lot more effort, a lot more input to get the physique you want. And so it's all about mass amounts of input. And so to get that sort of outcome out of children when it comes to working out, you reward the input or the effort they put in, not the intelligence or the accuracy. So say they get their form perfect. You're like, you got your form great, good job. Like, yeah, that's good to reward that. They'll kind of focus on their form and whatnot, but always reward the effort that they put in. Like, you did 100 fucking repetitions. That was a lot of work. You persisted. Like, good job. Good job in putting in all of those repetitions. And all they can think to themselves is, I can do 100 again. I could do it again. I could do 100 again. I could do that to get that reward, that social reward again. And that's how you would influence it in children or people in general, is just rewarding effort or input, not intelligence or accuracy.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense. But one thing I always, thinking about the reward is one thing I've always thought about, again, pertaining to how I would raise my kids is, when you train an animal or dog, how do you train it? You have it replicate a behavior and you reward it with the physical treat or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if when it comes to children, physically rewarding them, I wonder if that's not productive. Because I don't know if I read it somewhere or if it was just a thought I had. If you're physically rewarding them, and then you stop and then they do the behavior and then they don't get that physical reward, it's not worth it to them anymore.
Mm-hmm. It has to be random.
Random?
Mm-hmm. Because you're just triggering the dopamine section of the brain. And so it can't be every single time they do the thing, you give them the reward. It has to be random so that they continually seek that thing. Like, it'll be some sort of random reward while I do this thing. Instead of like, every time I do this thing, I get a reward. And then once you stop giving them the thing every single time, they're like, oh, I'm not going to get the reward anymore. I don't want to do this thing. Because that's how our brain does it when we're doing things, is we'll give ourselves random bouts of rewards for reading. Like, you'll read, okay, good, you read. And then another day you're reading and you realize you read 60 pages. You're like, damn, hell yeah, like, I read 60 pages, like, good job, man. And it's a random reward. And the next day you read another 60 pages, but you don't reward yourself. You're not like, oh, good job. You just like, do it, okay, did my 60 pages, whatever. And then another day you read, and then another day you read, and you're like, oh, I just read for like 4 days straight. Oh, like, nice, yeah. It's a random reward. And so when you're it's the same thing with animals or people. It should be a random reward, so that they continually do the thing in search of that random reward. Whereas if it's every single time they get the reward, and then that reward is halted and stopped, they no longer want to do the thing because they expect the reward. Immediately upon doing the thing, they do the thing, the reward doesn't come, and then they go, I'm not doing this anymore. There's no more reward, it's all run out. It's the same thing with children or animals. It should be random.
Well, in my head, I would think any physical reward, I mean, when it comes to people, I thought it would be not as beneficial as I would think, because in my head, I feel like your goal is to make them self-sufficient in doing the action. And so in my head, it would be, I got to train them to find their own reward. Thus, through, I guess, information, through teaching. That's kind of my thought process, is would I be able to teach them how to recognize the reward in the action itself, rather than feed them a physical reward for them to be pursuing, rather they are taught how to recognize the reward of the action itself. That was kind of my thought process of doing it. But then again, I don't know if obviously I feel like, yeah, constant physical rewards would be damaging. Would random physical rewards be any damaging? I don't know. I guess it, you know, and me personally, I think about it to when it comes pertaining to children, but I guess it comes to training anyone. And just speaking about it, I guess I related a lot to my NASM training. Was the biggest motivator is information, and I know we've talked about it in podcasts before. Is when it comes to behavior, you know, you want the children to act a certain behavior. It's feeding them the information
Hmm.
of the behavior, the consequences of the behavior, and they can learn from it, or they'll either make mistakes and not learn from it, or learn from it themselves. So, yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know. I learned the whole vocally reward effort from Andrew Huberman because he had had a talk about kids getting a sticker on their paper, and he had this separate talk about rewarding effort instead of intelligence. Because, like, I found in my life as well, when I reward myself for being intelligent, I do less input on the thing that I want. Because the time that I do it, I'm like, I should be so intelligent that I just get it right, and then I don't get it right, and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this fucking thing. Like, it's not for me, and I withdraw from doing the thing. Whereas, like, if I'm rewarding myself for the effort, I'm constantly doing the thing. And so that's what I've utilized when it comes to like working on things. When I'm reading or when I'm working on my creative, it's like, how much work did I do? I persisted through all that work. Like I did it all. You did so many repetitions. You performed all of the exercises, or you like made all of the care, whatever it is. And it's like this persisted through the work instead of like you were so intelligent and you got this accurate. Because I know that we beat ourselves up if we can't replicate that intelligence or the accuracy. Because the body will persist, right? Like when it comes to physical work, the spirit will give out first before the body does. And so if you reward the body, like, oh, you're doing good through the work you've already done, whereas like accuracy or intelligence, like that's not always it can't always be the answer. Like sometimes brute force, like especially when it comes to 1,000 reps, is the only way. Like the only way you're gonna get through 1,000 reps is just that brute force of effort. It's just continual effort, not intelligence or accuracy. It's just effort. And same thing with like everything we do. It's like if you want to be better at a thing, you have to do more of the thing. Got to do a lot more of the thing, whatever it is. And that takes not intelligence, not accuracy, just effort. Which reiterates like practice does make perfect. That's something I've
Yeah.
battled with for a long time. Like, no, perfect practice makes perfect. Because I can't remember who the fuck said that, but that wasn't true at all.
Yeah, that's definitely not right.
No! So I always
Gotta,
aim for
yeah,
perfect
you gotta
practice.
mess up. You gotta work your way through it.
That's interesting.
I feel like, yeah, it's like the whole concept of who has a better knowledge in something. Someone who's done something, 10 times perfect, or someone who's done something 10 times bad, good, all right, the whole mix of it all. It's that person.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 times perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That person has the better knowledge of it because he's experienced more of it.
Well, they say nothing is learned in victory or success. All of the lessons are learned through failure. Like, all of the greatest lessons are learned when you fucking it up. You're like, oh, I shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that. Whereas the person who gets it right all 10 times, like, that's what we call beginner's luck, and then they start failing. They're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, what do I do? And the person who's failed this many times is like, oh, I've actually made that mistake. Here's where you went wrong. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they do it again and they fuck it up, and it's like, oh, I've done that too. This is where you went wrong in that one. And like, oh, okay. The person who's failed more, oh shit, who was it who said it? Was it Denzel Washington? Fail fast and fail hard. If you want to be successful, fail fast and fail hard. Oh, that makes me feel so much better about life. Yeah.
Well, I failed hard several times.
Yeah. It's true though. Fail fast and fail hard.
Yeah, get it out of the way with.
Yeah.
That's yeah, you can apply that to any aspect in your life. And I think we all fear the failure.
Hmm.
We fear rejection, we fear consequence, even the thought of the failure. But we shouldn't, because if you want a result, you have to embrace that failure. I feel like it's part of it. Just get it out of the way and go hard.
It reminds me of a quote from The Alchemist. It's like, you don't learn through the books, you learn through, which I didn't fully agree with when I read this. I was like, I don't know if I agree with this. But it was this quote in The Alchemist, and it's like, you only learn through action alone. You have to take action to actually learn. Because, like, the person who's like, oh, actually, this is very true. Like, even when I studied mycology and, like, horticulture, like, I learned so much. I read, like, probably 200 hours worth of information on horticulture. And I didn't learn anything until I actually started growing plants. And I was like, shit. Okay, this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. Because like, you receive all this information and you're like, yeah, I'm an expert grower. And you're like, wait, I just killed a plant. Ha, that wasn't supposed to happen. I spent 200 hours like reading. But it's like when I actually did the thing, I realized I didn't know anything until like I actually did the thing. And same thing with like mycology. It's like you read all of this shit and you're like, I know how to do it, and then you do it and you're like, I'm fucking this up. Like, you have to act. You have to make repetitive action be your course of learning.
I was just thinking about this. It's just the whole idea of you know a lot more than you know. Because, I mean, even just talking today, I mean, through any podcast, it's the thing I love most about this, just doing this, is the act of self-learning.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could learn things, and I've read tons of books and heard tons of things, and we all have tons and tons and tons of things. Awesome knowledge, really good stuff. But unless you actually make sense of it, it's just useless.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the idea of, I mean, just the past, just talking about how I want to raise my kids. I mean, I'm sure you and me both had epiphanies during this thing, and we didn't even get them from each other. It was self-realization, as you're making sense of it, because we're putting those ideas into action by speaking them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just that whole idea that, yeah, you gotta put everything into rolling, because if you don't, it's just useless, and you'll probably forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta learn and act, and then you will grow.
Makes me realize that I know nothing about raising children because I've yet to raise them.
It's true. It's true. I mean, you could definitely prepare. I mean, I feel like filling your brain with the knowledge
Mm-hmm.
is preparatory, but you won't know until you start using it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm gonna take my sweet ass time with that one. I'm not gonna jump into that shit. I'm still very convinced that I'm like, all right, I'm waiting till I'm 30 to have kids. I'm not gonna rush that shit.
I want kids. We're pretty bad.
You want kids bad?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
It's just, what's more brilliant? Like, what's more fun than? It's the greatest creation you could create.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
probably.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't know.
I would say it is. I mean, it's I don't know. Just hearing, I mean, obviously I've never had kids, so I don't know, but just through my imagination and through my seeing of my family and friends go through it, it's just something really, really cool, and I think eye-opening to raise a child and have a child. So I'm excited. Can't wait till it comes.
I have this belief that me having children is jump starting my annihilation. Not jump starting, but triggering the start of my annihilation. Because, like, so long as I don't have kids, I'm young. Right?
And I've kind of had the same idea too. It's just like once I graduated high school, and once I kind of got a degree in college, and I got a full-time job, I'm like, man, marriage and kids, and then I'm out the door. I'm done, you know? And maybe what, grandkids? And that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
No more big milestones. I tell
Yeah.
people all the time, it's like marriage is that big day where you can invite everyone and see everyone, and then you'll never see them ever again, and you're done. Maybe the funeral, someone will
Yeah.
see someone.
See,
No,
and
I had the
that's
same idea, but at the same time, it's just part of the process.
yeah. Well, like I think of kids as like, all right, that's when all of the knowledge comes into play. Like I'm the time before kids, you're building up all of the knowledge. Then you have kids. That's when knowledge comes into play to be given. That's when you take everything that you've like learned and you're like, here it is. Here's what I've got. Take it. And to me, it's like, fuck. Like, no, you don't get any of this fucking shit yet. None of it. Like, it's mine first. I want to build the things, big things
You're
first.
selfish.
Yeah, you wait, motherfucker. Like, you can come when I'm ready to have you. Like, I don't want to deliver that knowledge yet. I don't want to give it yet. And I get that, like, you get to, you obviously are always learning, always growing. And so, like, it is some sense, it's an archaic way of looking at kids. Not even archaic, it's like a stupid fucking way of looking at kids. But still, it's like, you have to deliver the knowledge once the kid is delivered to you. You're like, all right, now I have to just, like, inject you with knowledge. And, like, I don't have all of this figured out, but you're going to have to learn some of this shit with me, little fucker. Like, I don't want to do that yet. I want the private jet, the yacht, the private island, and $1 billion before I have the kid.
All right. I feel like regardless, though, you're going to have to be learning with the kid. I mean,
That's
I think
true.
we've talked about it. Is one of the strongest relationships you could have is just the friendship. And like, we're in this together. We're both learning together and growing together. But obviously, yeah, there's the big aspect too, where you are the mentor. And you should be, to a certain level, prepared for that mentorship because, and I guess, yeah, anyone that, before you have kids, you got to come to that decision. You should come to that decision. I mean, just, am I ready? Am I going to be ready to raise this kid? So,
We keep talking about it. We need to stop talking about kids. We're manifesting it. I fucking hate this shit.
it's going to happen.
No! Not for another, wait, how old am I? 27? Not for another 3, 4, maybe like 5 years. Let me give it time.
I'm not setting a limit on it. Whenever it happens, it happens. Gotta find a special lady first.
Yeah. Focus on the perfect. That's another thing I fear is like, I've had too many friends like get in the relationship and now they're fighting to see their kid. And that's like, I don't want that shit. It's like, I want to make sure that I know, because I've been in a lot of relationships, like a lot. So I've trial and error, man, trial and error that shit. Like, I know how it works and I know how it doesn't work. Like, so now I know that, like, when I get that right spot, it's like, all right, now I'm ready. Because I know you're not going to try to take half my shit. Because that would be the fucking worst. Having to fight to see my kid. That scares the shit out of me.
Yep.
Because that's just real.
That's rough for anyone who has to deal with it, and I sympathize for them.
Because then I just want to kill the bitch. Just kidding.
No.
No. That's why I don't have kids.
Tanner.
It's what prenups are for.
Oh,
Just kidding.
gosh.
God didn't say they were perfect. He just said they were
No,
necessary. Just kidding.
Let's not get into the whole contract of marriage and prenups or anything.
I know,
That's
it's disgusting.
It's a crazy topic in itself. So.
I know. Oh shit, let's go over goals. I don't think I've even touched this thing in a while.
Yeah, I've been having a rough go. I got sick this week, and so
Oh,
but I've
snap,
been
dude.
trying.
Shared with me. I don't know. Where is it? Oh, my iPad's gonna die. I'll have to use it on my phone. I haven't even opened it up in a while. I think I open it
I
up
could
every
tell.
time. Huh?
I think last time you opened it was last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the last time I opened it. Let's see. Documents. Yeah, I definitely haven't opened it. Oh, wait, no, that's social growth. Here we go. Oh, this is funny.
Here, I'll go over my goals really quick.
Okay.
For my physical, I got my hypertrophy in yoga, which has been pretty good. I've been hitting hypertrophy in yoga. I do need to do better on my yoga. I just been timid on my yoga because I feel like stretching my injury muscles too much has been aggravating them. So I've been kind of treading lightly on the yoga, but I have still been consistent with it. On my intellectual, I got my reading and writing. Reading is cake. Writing, I found out just now. I finally found out how to easily write.
Okay.
So it's just I give myself this time frame where I got this reading, and so I'm now going to combine it with writing, which is going to be really good. I'm stoked because I was able to actually just rearrange my whole ideas for my writing today, which has been great. So I'm super stoked for that. My spiritual, I got my praying and my scriptures, which has been going good. Relationships, I try to say hi to everyone, and I changed one. The express gratitude, I changed it to compliment one person. Because
like
it's really the same thing, honestly. But in my head, compliment is more of something I'm able to wrap my hands on. It's just compliment one person. So that's one goal I changed. And then my music is my music production study and my music production, which has been struggling, but I have come to another epiphany of that today, which has been great. So hopefully I could hit that hard.
Nice.
That's my goal, is just really to just give time for the music.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I noticed your music production. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally the worst one. That and the writing, but this week it's gonna better. I know it will. I have faith.
All right. I haven't checked any of these off, but I've definitely been doing a lot. Let's see. 3 lives a day, that's consistent. That's just a part of my impact. That's something I'll literally never stop doing. So I'm consistent with that. Expressing gratitude to nature 10 minutes a day. Ooh, I haven't been doing that as consistent now that I think about it. I have been doing it a bit just because it's been raining a lot. So I typically automatically do that whenever it rains. I love when it rains. I haven't gone puddle jumping in a while, but I really want to. It's like itching at me. But every morning I get to go out, and then every night it's been raining, so that's nice because I like to like sit out there and like really like space out in the rain. Gratitude journal, I've been consistent every single day. I have not missed. And my handwriting's getting really good. That's something I'm like super proud of. I'm like, God damn, Tanner, your handwriting's getting nice. So that's good. Creatine, I wouldn't say I'm too consistent. I'm like still every other day, but pretty good. Just because of my protein intake, it's been pretty good. Still eating beef, pork. We bought like 12 pounds of pork that we've been eating. Still eating. So I guess creatine and protein's good. Gym, I've done my like active time, and then yesterday I did that like brutal workout. So that's good. 10-minute website work. I've been consistent with that. Net worth visualization. I have not been consistent with that. I have not been doing that. Intellectual reading. I've been doing great. I actually even got my library card, which I'm pumped about. Writing, I've been doing really good. So I do need to keep touching base with this document, because yeah, I haven't touched it since the last pod. So proud of myself. Let's see. Goal.
Yeah, I gotta be better with it too. This week's gonna be good though.
Oh no, we got the weekly goal. I need to edit that and add something to my weekly goal.
Yeah, I put something on mine.
I like it. God, man. I haven't had any coffee. I need coffee. That's what I need.
You don't need coffee.
I need it. I love coffee.
That's gonna be your weekly goal?
Get more coffee. Go buy more coffee.
Coffee.
I'm very proud of myself for being clean from cannabis for so long. Because I realized that like I replaced it with coffee. Like that's been my habit every day now is coffee. But now I'm like 3 days off coffee and I'm like, man, I feel like shit. Like I need my coffee. Like I've had to really stay awake. Except I had my caffeine in my pre-workout yesterday, so that was nice, but I need my coffee. I love coffee. It's delicious.
Your vice.
Just remember, folks, you can't delete a habit. You have to replace it with something else, else your brain will fill it with something else, like drinking. And I'm glad I'm not drinking. I'm glad it's coffee instead of alcohol. Prefer it.
It is better.
Because drinking wasn't a good time. I got fat and ugly when I used to drink. I was nasty.
Was?
Huh. Huh. Save that for TikTok.
Yeah, true. My secret accounts. You guys are stupid.
Oh my gosh. All right. That concludes
All right.
episode 15 of 2 Minutes to Life. We'll see you guys next week.